Hello, Stanley Jones here once again. Today I want to talk to you about a relatively controversial topic, basically abortion and Catholic and Christian position on abortion. So there is nothing in the Catholic Church, and probably not in any Christian church, that tells you who you have to vote for. And you never, ever, ever have to vote on a single issue. If your priest or religious leader is telling you that you have to vote based on a single issue, they're lying to you. Plain and simple, lying to you. And if they're lying to you about that, they're probably lying to you about a bunch of other stuff. So if your priest is telling you that you have to vote based on a single issue, tell them to go take a hike. So back to this question of abortion. Um, religions, Christian religions, base themselves a lot on the Bible. So it is important to look at what the Bible says about abortion. I have always maintained that the abortion issue is not raised in the Bible. I studied religion in university as part of my psychology course when I was studying psychology. I read the Bible from cover to cover many, many years ago, so don't count on my memory for that, but I did read the Bible. And I did some research as well on the topic. Now, on a quick search of the internet, you can find people claiming that the Bible supports supports not allowing abortion under any circumstance. Now, it's hard to find quotes in the Bible on abortion. There are some websites that claim as many as 100 quotes from the Bible against abortion. And I've looked at many of those, and they're just so far-fetched that they're not really worth mentioning. I did find one site that had 12 quotes that could be construed as pertaining to abortion. So I'll look at those. I'll look at only those 12 from that one site, and I'll try to link the site that I chose in the comments of this video probably, or something like that. But anyway, it is probably the 12 quotes that are most frequently referenced when people say the Bible condemns abortion. Now, why is it that some people can say that the Bible doesn't talk about abortion and other people say that the Bible condemns abortion? Well, the Bible is not written in clear, concise English. People interpret it in different ways, and there is definitely possibility of disagreement on the same quote. So I'll look at the 12 that seem to be the most commonly used to claim the Bible speaks against abortion. What's interesting is the 12 most common are all from the Old Testament. There's very little from the New Testament, even in the most radical websites that will try and use the New Testament to support abortion, or against abortion, sorry. Jesus basically never spoke about the topic. So you have to wonder how serious an issue he considered it if he never spoke about it. Definitely there's other issues that he considered far, far, far more important. So note that I'm not saying that abortion should be done. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying the Bible doesn't really talk about it. There's a whole different story here. But the other thing is I'm also saying that laws should not force morality. You should not say that anything that's wrong should be illegal. That would be utterly ridiculous. We should do the right thing because it is the right thing. Laws should not force us to do the right thing. Laws, however, should not prevent us from doing the right thing. So if a law allows you to do the wrong thing, I have no issue with that. If a law forces you to do the wrong thing, then that is a different question. On abortion, most Christians say abortion is wrong. That's their prerogative. I have no issue with that. I'm Catholic. I believe abortion is wrong. I don't think you should get an abortion if you were thinking about it. I don't think you should encourage people to get abortions. But I don't give two hoots what the law says. If the law allows abortion, I'm fine with that. I really don't care whether you say abortions are legal or not. Lawyers looked into this. Lawyers studied this. people who understand legality have studied this, and they all came to the conclusion that abortions should be legal. The ones who claim abortions shouldn't be legal are the ones who claim that they will not look at facts or statistics or information or be swayed in any way. Their priest told them that abortions should be are wrong, and therefore they should be illegal because you know, that's it. They have no because. It's simply, it is wrong, therefore it should be illegal. Okay, well, make divorce illegal as well then. If you make divorce illegal and make abortion illegal and make cheating on your wife illegal and you make, you know, a whole bunch of other stuff, then you're really in a religious state. We are not currently living in a religious state, not in Canada, not in the US, and we should not be making our laws based on religion. So let's look at these 12 quotes. The first one is Genesis 1:27. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Okay, that's just saying that God created mankind. That does not talk about abortion. It does not say when life starts. It does not say anything of the type. So just Genesis 1:27 is irrelevant to the question of abortion, in my opinion. It's just saying that God created mankind in his image, period. Exodus 20:13. You shall not murder. Well, fine. I think everybody agrees with that. And yet, we do allow people to kill to defend themselves. We allow people to kill to defend their country. We allow people to kill, in some places, to defend their property. We allow people to kill to defend their family. You know, there's different situations where we allow people to kill. So murder is wrong. That is fine, insofar as it goes. But what does it mean? And certainly saying murder is wrong does not say anything about abortion. If you can kill to protect your property, as in many of the states, then why the heck would you not be able to kill to protect your body? Like, isn't your body more personal than your property? If I can kill to protect my house, then killing to protect my body would seem to be a no-brainer. Now in Canada, we don't have that rule about killing to protect your property like they do in some of the states. Nonetheless, you know, body takes precedence over material possessions, in my opinion. And the thou shalt not commit murder does not seem to give any weight whatsoever as to about abortion. It doesn't talk about abortion. Murder is different from abortion, period. Okay, then the third quote here, Numbers 5:19-22. Then the priest shall put the woman under oath and say to her, if no other man hath had sexual relations with you, and you have not gone astray and become impure while married to your husband, may this bitter water that brings a curse not harm you. And it goes on of that. And then the next quote, which is related to that, is Numbers 5:27-28. If she has made herself impure and been unfaithful to her husband, this will be the result. When she is made to drink the water that brings a curse and causes bitter suffering, it will enter her abdomen will swell, and her womb will miscarry. And then it goes on. So basically, in Numbers 5:19-22, and again 5:27-28, I don't know why they count that as two quotes instead of one, because it's one section. They should have included the other parts in there. It is saying that if a wife is unfaithful, or if a husband is jealous and thinks she may have been unfaithful, even if the jealousy is misplaced, she should be given a drink that will cause her to miscarry if she was indeed unfaithful. Now, how the drink would distinguish between a fetus from a third party or from the husband, that's hard to imagine. But even if it does, then you're saying that abortion is acceptable if it is from a baby out of wedlock. That is what that Numbers 5:19 to 28 basically is talking about, is that if the woman is pregnant out of wedlock, an abortion is a-okay according to the Bible. It's only if your fetus is from within a marriage, I guess, that section of the Bible would possibly have an issue with the abortion. And it doesn't actually say that. It just says that, if the wife is pregnant from outside the marriage, by all means, abort, abort, abort. So I don't know how people construe that one to be against abortion. If anything, it seems to be pro-abortion. But that's that one. On to the next one, Jobs 31:15. Did not he who made me in the womb make them? Did not the same one form us both within our mothers? Okay. This quote is actually about servants and masters being equal in the eyes of God. It does not give any indication about when life begins. It does not actually say that, I started to be while I was in the womb. It does not say that. It says that God formed both the servant and the master. That's it. So it doesn't talk about abortion. It does not say when an abortion is or isn't acceptable. It does not cover that topic whatsoever by any stretch of the imagination. It is just saying that the master and the slave are equal in God's eyes, period. So on to the next quote. Psalms 8:5-7. You have made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. You made them rulers over the works of your hands. You put everything under their feet, all flocks and herds and the animals of the wild. Basically, this is saying that God made man higher than other creatures of the earth. Again, it doesn't talk about when man actually starts to count as a human. It just talks about man is more important than other creatures of the earth, which most religions believe man is superior to all other creatures. So that's it. Psalms 22:10. This is a popular one that's often taken. From birth I was cast on you. From my mother's womb you have been my God. This is a rather interesting one. If anything, it seems to indicate that birth is an important event. What happens after birth is different from before birth. You see, so it does seem to be, that quote actually seems to be saying there's something that happens at birth, that the birth is an important, significant moment, which that does not necessarily excuse abortion, but it certainly doesn't seem to be saying that abortion is wrong either. It's saying that birth is an important issue. It's from my mother's womb, you have been my God. And the Psalms 22:9, which is just before that, makes it even more clear. But thou art that took me out of the womb. The phrase took me out of the womb could easily be replaced with gave me life. Like, it is you that gave me life is something that is sometimes heard, sometimes referring to God, every once in a while referring to a parent. But that is a phrase that we've heard throughout life. So, it is you that gave me life seems to be a valid phrase in this context, but the words in the actual quote are, thou art that took me out of the womb. So it seems that taking you out of the womb, giving birth, maybe it's the same as giving life, so maybe it's at the moment of birth. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying that that psalm is definitely not anti-abortion. If anything, that particular quote could be used to say that the moment of birth is the moment of life. So we can argue whether that is true or not, but that particular quote, if anything, is more pro difference at birth than anti difference at birth, if you get my drift there. Psalms 127, 3-5. Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from him. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. So again, um, we're talking here about kids being a blessing, and there's certainly reason to have that take on religious stands. There is many stories along that line, shall we say, but it doesn't talk about abortion. It's not saying, you know, a kid starts to exist at conception. It doesn't say anything about when a kid starts to exist. It says kids are a blessing. The more you have, the more blessed you are, which is certainly an old way of thinking, but it's certainly not uncommon way of thinking, and it's understandable, particularly when kids were your old age pension, basically. So, you know, it has to be taken in context. There's definitely nothing there about abortion, pro or against. And we have to remember that in some cultures, kid is not really recognized as a full member of society until some ritual that happens sometime after birth. Depending on the cultures, that could actually be several years after birth that the kid is finally accepted as a member of the community. And when that happens depends largely on how likely infant mortality was in the community. Communities where kids were at high risk within the first year would celebrate, you know, their admittance into the community after the first year. Communities where the kids remained at risk for several years would postpone that event until the highest risk period was over. So that is why a lot of these old communities, and I'm talking about, if we look in history, not communities that are necessarily around today, but if we look in history, different communities had different ages at which they recognized a child as becoming a member of the community. Next quote is from Psalms 139, 13 to 16. For you created me in most being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. So, and the quote goes on, but it seems to be saying that God creates us and therefore knows us before we even exist. The quote actually says that God knows us, but God knows everything. God knows us not just, you know, 9 months before we were born. He knows us centuries before we were born. So we can't use the time frame of which God starts to know us as being the point at which life begins, because that would seem to imply that we existed long before birth. God knows everything. God knows us before we were born. God knows us before we are conceived. Is there a difference between conception and birth? I don't know. But that quote about God knowing us is irrelevant to when life begins. Proverbs 6, 16 to 19. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, and a few more. But anyway, so hands that shed innocent blood is the one that is taken as being somehow abortion. Well, no, shed innocent blood is murder, and we don't know whether abortion has anything to do with innocent blood. There's no linking of the two, not in this quote, not in any other quote. And the other thing is that even in this particular quote, the shed of innocent blood is put on the same level, it seems, as a lying tongue. So that is saying that if you lie, it's as bad as if you kill someone. So, you know, the quote is really not saying anything about abortion. It is saying what God doesn't like and what we shouldn't be doing. And note that because we shouldn't be doing it doesn't mean it should be illegal. We should not lie. However, do you really want laws that would allow you to be put in prison for decades if you told your mother that it's not you that ate the candy bar? Let's be realistic here. Humans do lie. We know we shouldn't lie. The nature of the lie depends. Lying in court is considered a crime. For the most part, minor lies happen all the time. People do it without thinking. The president of the state does it all the time, ad nauseum. So really, lying is, if anything, equal to murder in that particular quote. Isaiah 49:15, can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion for the child she has borne? Though she may forget, I will not forget you. So if anything, again, this is not talking about abortion. Nothing about abortion here at all. What it is saying is that even a loving mother who loves her kid is more likely to forget her kid than God is to forget you. That is not saying anything about the mother, really. It is saying that God will always love you and will never ever forget you. It is saying that as hard as it is to imagine a mother forgetting her loving kid, her loving infant, it is even harder to imagine God forgetting us. So nothing about abortion there at all. And then the final one, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Jeremiah 1:5. So this is probably the most frequently used quote because God knew us before birth. But as I mentioned in reference to another quote earlier, God knows us before conception. So the fact that he knew us before birth is really meaningless as to whether or not abortion is denounced in the Bible. It does not seem to mention anything about abortion here. It doesn't say that therefore you cannot abort from the womb. It does not say that. It says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And note, it says, before I formed you in the womb. It doesn't say, after I formed you in the womb, I knew you. It says, before. So before I formed you in the womb means that he knew you. God knows us before we exist. You get that? God knows us before we exist. Therefore, to say that he knows us before birth is sort of, doesn't say anything more. He knew us before we existed. Did we exist before birth? Well, this quote doesn't tell us, because he knows us before we exist. He knows us before birth. But it doesn't say that we existed before birth. It says that God knows us before we existed, before conception. So that's it on a quick summary. Well, not so quick, half hour. This is probably one of my longest videos, but hopefully this is somewhat helpful. The Bible does not support laws against abortion. The Bible does not support voting for amoral ignoramuses just because they promise to support a Christian Taliban to the Supreme Court. The Bible does not support the horrendous stuff that is currently happening in the States because they have an amoral jackass at the head. The Bible does not support this kind of stuff. Christians do not support that kind of activity. Real Christians. The people who support Trump fall into one or two categories. Complete and utter idiots, like so freaking stupid you can barely believe how stupid they are, and racist bigots and deplorables. There are basically two categories. There's a third category, which is the ones who are just in it for the money, like Kellyanne Conway, who said that Trump is the dumbest human she ever met, but she will defend him for money. Kellyanne Conway says, I don't care if Trump destroys America. You pay me my money and I'll help him destroy America. And people who support Trump fall into one of three categories. The two main ones are, as I said, bigots and idiots. And the third category is the ones who will do anything for money. Call them whatever you want. Thank you. Have a good day and God bless.